So I'm just gonna go ahead now and do my job.
Okay, the drug addict gets 30 days, and the cop beater comes back tomorrow to set a trial date.
God, I hate it when you people ask questions like that. Is it possible for you not to say, is it possible anymore? Given that you know how I feel about expressions like that.
Now take some advice and keep your mouth closed.
Duh. You ever been hit in the head with a shovel? You've got the criminal code shoved so far up your ass, you can't take a regular shit like the rest of us.
When I ask you not to do something, just don't do it.
Oh, yeah, he's a real charmer. I'd loan him 200 grand, no problem.
Who gives a shit anyway? Now there is a mantra for our time.
Can you help me?
It'll just a second. Now.
But they told me that you would...
It'll just have to wait till I put my stuff down, okay?
All rise.
Okay, open up the cell doors and let the festivities commence.
I believe there's an out-of-custody matter we can deal with first, Your Honor.
Yeah, mine.
Sit down, please.
But I have a matter that I want...
If you don't sit down, you'll have to leave.
This is Mr. Matthews, Your Honor. His matter's going to be settled by way of a peace bond. Is Mr. David Smith in court?
Yes, that's me.
All right, get up here, both of you.
This matter stems from an incident at Trinity Bellwoods Park.
Oh, not one of those neighborhood park things. I hate that. If this turns out to be as petty as the other ones I've dealt with, you're both in big trouble.
Excuse me. I really think I'm supposed to go first. Marlene Epps, E-P-P-S.
We're in the middle of something here, ma'am.
But they told me you deal with me immediately.
And when you say they...
I had my matter traversed from K Court.
We have no Epps on the list.
I watched the clerk phone to say I was coming down.
I never got a message from K Court, Your Honor.
Yeah, neither did I.
Well, can one of you people deal with this, or you want me to get on the phone and do it?
No, I'll look into it just as soon as we're done with this.
Yeah, because we have this urgent matter of park etiquette to deal with, so you're just gonna have to wait.
How long?
I don't know, until these guys have wasted an appropriate amount of my time, I guess. Go ahead.
Mr. Matthews and Mr. Smith were both walking their dogs in the park when...
His dog shit on the grass and you didn't pick it up?
No, he...
What, his dog bit you? Bit your son?
Bit my dog. His dog bit my dog.
Well, isn't that what dogs do? I mean, when they're not humping?
He let his dog off its leash before he was in the off-leash area.
We were on our way to the off-leash area.
As soon as it saw my dog, it attacked.
Yeah, because your dog was acting aggressively. Titus was just reacting to a threat.
Oh, please.
Sorry, your dog's name is Titus?
Yes.
And is Titus a big dog?
A German Shepherd.
A dog favored by police states the world over.
And what about yours?
Daisy's a golden doodle.
A what?
It's a cross between a golden retriever and a poodle.
That sounds lovely. What is this doing in my courtroom, Miss Rogan?
Well, during the dog fight, Titus bit Daisy, and Daisy's owner, Mr. Smith, kicked Titus and yelled at Mr. Matthews to put him on a leash. Mr. Matthews responded by telling Mr. Smith that if he kicked his dog Titus again, he'd be sorry. At which point, Mr. Smith did kick Titus again, and that's when Mr. Matthews pulled a club out of his pants and apparently motivated Mr. Smith to do the same.
Okay, now it's getting interesting. And you were both carrying concealed weapons because?
Because of guys like him.
Titus has been attacked 3 times by a Rottweiler that's always running loose in that park.
See? Titus has been a victim himself. He was probably thinking, I may not be tough enough to take on that bastard Rottweiler, but something called a golden doodle I can take no problem. So then what happened?
What happened then was both men began hitting each other with their clubs on the buttocks.
On the buttocks?
Well, I didn't want to really hurt him.
Me neither.
Police were called by onlookers, and both men were charged with assault.
Mr. Matthews and Mr. Smith have agreed to enter into a 12-month peace bond. At least that's what they told me earlier.
Well, basically, that means that you and your dogs are going to have to stay away from one another. Can you deal with that?
Well, what about Daisy's vet bills? She needed 5 stitches.
Titus lost a tooth.
On Daisy's jaw.
All right, that's enough.
But
I said that's enough. Madam Clerk, I want the peace bond to read that each of the complainants are not to be in the park except for specific hours, you in the morning and you in the evening. Other than that, they're not to be anywhere near the place.
I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, Titus has an active bladder. Am I supposed to tell him just to hold it till it's his turn in the park?
Yeah, do that. You two keep pushing me, and I'm going to take Titus and Daisy away from you. And I'm going to stipulate that neither of you can ever own a dog again.
You can't do that.
You want to bet?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, sign the papers and get out of here.
Can you deal with me now?
No.
Why not?
Because we don't have your information.
Well, when are you going to get it?
Why are you asking me?
Well, I have to ask someone. You think you could just sit up there without anyone asking you questions? I want my matter dealt with.
And I told you we do that when we get your paperwork.
But you didn't tell me when that would be, so I'm not satisfied.
Does anyone else get the feeling this is going to be a long and difficult day? This could be the day that artery actually bursts in my head. Did you just smirk when I said that, Miss Rogan? Do you think the possibility of my imminent demise is amusing?
Of course not, Your Honor.
I want to lodge an official complaint about all
Sit
that.
down.
But I just want...
Sit down.
No, but I just...
Sit down, sit down, sit down. Thank you. Who's next?
Well, with your record and the amount you were carrying...
I bought those drugs for myself. Those cops have been busting me for years on simple possession. How come all of a sudden now I'm a dealer?
For one thing, it explains why a cocaine-addicted homeless streetwalker can suddenly afford an apartment.
I got a job at Goodwill. Okay, they got to know me and they hired me. You have to go tell them how hard I have worked to get clean. And I almost am. I don't do nearly as much as I used to.
Okay, but I don't think that they'll care.
Why not?
Well, for one thing, they probably won't believe you. And also, carrying any amount is a breach of your probation. Maybe if you agree to go into drug treatment, they'll back off on the P for P.
I will not do one of those stupid 12-step programs, all right? They don't work for me.
Then you're probably looking at a minimum of 6 months.
If I go away for that long, I will lose my apartment, and then I'll be back out on the street every night hooking, and pretty soon I'll be using just as much as I did when I started. And all the work I did to reduce my habit will be out the goddamn window. Just tell them I bought that shit for myself, okay? It was my week's supply. Just tell them I'm not a dealer.
Okay, but I just want you to...
I am not a dealer. Tell them. Just tell them.
I will, but I want you to understand...
Just go tell them.
Look at her file. It's nothing but possession.
Yeah, but it's her first arrest since moving into her new condo. I thought we should mark the occasion
Look,
somehow.
she rents that condo, which she's able to do because she got a job.
At Goodwill, she's dealing. Give me a break.
It was an 8-ball. Don't your dealers usually carry a little more
Okay,
than
first
that
of all,
around?
don't refer to them as my dealers. And second of all, I'm not going to change my mind so you can stop.
So we're going to trial on this? Because she'll only plead to possession, not the P for P.
Even if I drop the failure to comply and recommend 8 months?
8? Forget it. What's going on? Portela reduces these charges all the time.
Yeah, and he's no longer here, and I only do that kind of thing for the right people. Is she one of those people?
You mean, can she help you take down a drug lord? No, she's just a user. She buys on the street from other users who just sell to support their habit. It's pretty sad, really.
Do you think so?
I suppose you would be interested in hearing how she's trying to get off the stuff altogether.
Sure. Then you and I can co-write a folk song about it.
Great. Another prick.
He's slow. He's developmentally delayed. He had a stroke when he was a baby and it affected his brain. Yeah, like I said, he's slow, but he was put in this class with a bunch of so-called normal kids. Which is what they try to do, right? They integrate them. Yeah, integrate him with kids who tease him constantly. And one day he just had enough, so he pushed her. Mary, his classmate. And the teacher saw him and brought him down to the vice principal's office, and without even stopping to consider what Sam has to endure most days. He suspended him.
Suspended him even though he was provoked.
Because they have this bullshit zero-tolerance policy about violence.
Which is great.
Except when it's stupid.
Which this was. And they suspended him the day before the field trip to the zoo.
Something he'd been looking forward to for months.
Okay, so?
So
Jessica went down to the school and... Right, to try to speak some sense into the vice principal.
Yeah, exactly, but big surprise he didn't want to listen.
He got frustrated. You got frustrated.
Because they don't understand how much energy goes into preparing Sam for things like that.
I mean, we can't just send him on a field trip without preparing him. We've got to tell him where he's going, what he can expect when he gets there.
Or else he can get scared and he can act out.
And you try to set him up for success.
What?
Yeah.
The thing I've been trying to get them to understand since he started school is that Sam needs special attention.
Even though he can appear not to. I mean, he's not retarded.
Yeah, he's just a little behind, and that makes him socially awkward and kind of nervous.
Yeah, probably very nervous.
And for 6 years, I've had to deal with morons, like this vice principal who do it by the book, no matter how that affects my son.
Right, so this time you decided to deal with him physically.
Yeah, we got into it pretty good. I guess he got the worst of it, but if you ask me, he had it coming.
Okay, but if I do ask you in court, I mean, don't say that. Don't say he had it coming.
Even though he did.
Yeah, even though he probably might have had it coming. Listen, just go in there, plead guilty, apologize, take your slap on the wrist, and I will have you both out of there in no time.
Sure, everything except the apologizing part. I won't be doing that.
Sure she won't.
Except she won't. Not unless we can get the VP in there and have him apologize, too.
Well, the thing is, he's not been charged with anything.
I'm charging him with stupidity.
Okay, listen, I can only imagine how difficult it's been for you to fight against a system that hasn't had the proper resources to help your child. And I think that your anger is justified, you know, to a point. But the thing is, this judge is probably going to want an apology.
Too bad.
The thing is, if you deny his request, then, you know, jail time is not out of the question.
I don't care.
She doesn't mean that.
Yes, she does.
Mom's is working 10 jobs, so Auntie Jack is the one who took care of me. Now she's old and she needs someone to take care of her.
And your way of doing it was going into her nursing home and trashing the place.
Those nurses in the nursing home are doing a shitty job. They're lucky they didn't flip out sooner.
The point I'm trying to make is if you thought she was getting such bad care, why didn't you just talk to someone?
Are you serious? I tried, man. I tried to communicate 1,000 times, but they never listened. So this time, I made sure they did.
Well, the thing is, that might work well on the streets with other criminals, but around regular people...
What do you mean criminal? What are you saying when you say that shit, man?
What, I offended you?
Yeah, you offended me. Man, I'm in here because I was helping a sick old lady, and you're on some bullshit.
All you did was scare those people. You didn't do anything to improve your aunt's care, and on top of that, you hurt someone.
Yeah, well, that nurse, I didn't mean for that to happen, man. How bad is it?
Dislocated shoulder?
I guess I grabbed that nurse too hard, huh?
I guess you did.
Look, all I wanted her to do was stop and listen to what I had to say. But she kept ignoring me, screaming for security and shit.
Well, that's probably because you just kicked the shit out of the nurse's station.
Yo, they never listen to me, man. They never ever listen.
Okay, listen.
No, it's not okay. Don't tell me to listen, man. Auntie Jackie's got Parkinson's, which means she needs special help to go to the bathroom, but she's too embarrassed to ask. So I just took matters in my... Yeah, forget it. This makes no sense. The last time I was in here, man, the boy them, or cops as you call them, they framed me on some bogus charge for possession. And that's when I had a lawyer that liked me. What am I gonna do with a prick like you?
It's pricks like me that usually get the best results for assholes like you.
Oh, is that so?
You're a drug dealer with a 5-page record and you trashed a nursing home. That's one step above going into a preemie ward and kicking around a few incubators. It's gonna take some dressing up. So sorry if I have to offend you with a few tough questions.
Tough questions? I got some tough questions. How come them nurses aren't in jail?
Good idea, but if it's all right with you, I won't phrase it quite like that. We'll go into court, you plead guilty, and then I'll attempt to convince the judge about their appalling care of your beloved aunt.
All they do is wheel them into the TV room in the morning and wheel them back at nighttime. That's it.
Get your pen and paper, you can write all of that stuff down for me.
They don't talk to them? They don't think about them? Man, they barely even look at them.
Great, all good things to bring up.
They let them piss in their pants? They don't cut their toenails so it's hard for them to walk?
Great, a pen and paper, remember, it's on the way.
And what's up with that smell, man? What's up with that smell? It stinks in there.
Right.
It's bullshit.
Why are they feeding him in that jail? Because he can't eat anything that's too high in fat or salt, and definitely nothing processed.
Gee, Mom, maybe you should have thought of that before you decided to call the police on him.
Well, he did threaten to plunge a corkscrew into her chest.
Excuse me, he threatened to do it to me, too, and I didn't call them.
So how come you're listed as a complainant?
Because she told them. She told them the whole thing. I don't know why we have to make such a big deal out of it.
He was the one that made the big deal. I was simply reminding him that he can't eat bad food anymore, and he got all worked up.
Worked up enough that you thought he was going to kill you both?
With hindsight, I overreacted. Now, can we talk about the food in that jail for a moment?
Oh, no, because I'm still
My
trying to figure
father
out
has been acting out quite a lot lately. It's because of the incident.
What incident?
He had a stroke. Just a minor one.
A stroke's a stroke, and he's going to have more of them if he doesn't learn how serious his condition is. And if I have to shock him into taking better care of himself, so be it.
Sending him to jail is going to be really great for his health,
I overreacted. Anyway, I don't think it was a minor stroke. Half the time, he doesn't know what he's doing. That's why he doesn't work in the pharmacy anymore. No, he was giving people the wrong medicine.
That happened once, Mother, once. A month ago, he dispenses the wrong dose to a woman. Nothing happens to her. We had to ask him to start working at the till, just in case.
Can we talk about the food in that jail now?
No, now we have to talk about why he can't get bail. And there are two very big reasons. You're one of them, and you're one of them.
I'm sorry.
Well, you're both complainants, and you can't live with the complainants. So what we have to do now is we have to go to plea court. And what happens there is, but I think we should probably just ask the judge for leniency. That'll probably be enough.
But for now, can we please talk about the food in the jail? Because all this legal nonsense won't be necessary if he drops down dead of a heart attack. Well,
that's right.
Hey, hi, good afternoon. We need to talk, right?
Okay, but first you have to tell me why you're dressed like that.
Oh, like what?
Like me.
Oh.
You know what? Never mind. I'm not actually sure I want to know. 60 days, 1 year probation, and definitely anger management.
Oh, I'm sorry?
Your client who attacked the teacher?
Yes, vice principal. Yes, 60 days. Yeah, you know, she was just trying to stand up for her child, right?
Right, and the only acceptable way of doing that in our society is to knock someone's teeth out.
She's very burnt out.
Some people think you're burnt out, Elliot. Yet here you are in a brand new suit and tie, and no one's blood on your hands.
Yeah, well, she's just trying to protect her little boy. You know, she thinks that he's not learning, you know? He's sitting at the back of the class, probably like doing connect the dots, wondering...
The VP needed dental surgery, Elliot.
I know, and I think there should be penalties for that, just as you do. I truly do, but I also believe that there are other options, you know?
Whatever special issues this woman is dealing with, she's gone too far. People are afraid of her. She's called the school trustee, the ministry stopped that. She's left hundreds of messages, threatened lawsuits, and now she's assaulted someone. I think a little jail time is in order. She can use it as a cooling off period. Maybe it'll prevent her from actually going postal. Okay, tell me, why are you dressed like that?
Like you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I was just hoping that it would help me.
Help you what?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had to ask.
6 accused has a 5-page record full of assaults and drug charges, but his illegal behavior, up until now restricted to the criminal realm, has this time impacted on the public at large. This latest offense was against healthcare professionals who were just trying to do their jobs.
Yeah, but they weren't.
Patience, sir, there'll come a time for you to entertain us with your version of events.
You know what? I think we should ignore his previous record.
You do you?
Yeah, because, well, this is different. In all his previous instances, my client was motivated purely by selfish impulses.
The drug dealer, isn't he?
Yes, and he is engaged in all the unsavory behavior connected with that line of work, no question about it. But this time, my client didn't beat the crap out of somebody over a crack deal gone bad. This time, my client's activities were motivated purely by love.
Oh, please. Your Honor, we can't.
Come on, Miss Rogan. He's trying to use love as a mitigating factor. Aren't you even a little curious as to how he's going to pull that one off? Go ahead, Mr. Angel. Love made him do it.
A deep and abiding love for the woman who raised him. That and that alone motivated and colored everything he did on the afternoon in question. He was just upset and frightened by the level of care his Aunt Jackie was receiving and frustrated in not having his concerns heard.
Yeah, it sounds like you're airing a possible defense strategy, Mr. Angel. Do you want me to throw out his plea and get a trial for you?
No. Far be it from me to offer a defense here in plea court, the ancestral home of the guilty. My job today is to point out that there are different degrees of guilt and that my client is at the most innocent end of the guilty scale. He just wanted the people in the nursing home to listen to him.
I want people to listen to me. Is it okay if I rough them up a bit if they don't?
Well, let your conscience be a guide.
Can I say something now?
Yeah, take your shot.
All right, the people inside of that nursing home should be on trial. They take good money, and then they're supposed to be taking care of people, but all they do is treat them like dogs.
Got any specifics?
As a matter of fact, we have 2 pages of specifics.
He assaulted a nurse. It's not really important how bad the home was.
It is to me. I might wind up in one of those places. Go ahead, sir. Tell it like it is.
Yeah, I got lots, man. Listen, okay, first of all, she has Parkinson's, which means it's hard for her to eat because her arms are always shaking. So I tell them, look, you got to cut up her food at dinner time. Sure enough, you show up, and there's a fat-ass pork chop on her plate. Man, she lost 50 pounds and no one gave a shit. Why? Because she's old. So why bother trying? I go out, I buy some satin sheets because I know what she wants to turn over at nighttime so I can make it easier for her. I go to the hospital, they're sitting on the floor, and then they have these rough-ass sheets on the bed. I tell them, look, she has to have ginger ale with no bubbles after she eats, but they give it to her to fizz because that's what's easiest. She gets sicker, loses more weight. And then when it comes to helping her to the toilet...
Hey, I'm going to have to stop you there because, well, I don't know if I can take any more.
Yeah, well, neither could I, man.
I earned that money.
What money?
The money they're accusing me of stealing from the till. $50.
You're not here for stealing money. You're here for the corkscrew thing.
Oh, trust me, Margaret didn't think for one second I meant to kill her with a corkscrew. You can't kill that woman with a corkscrew. She got skin like leather.
Okay, what about your daughter? You threatened her, too.
Certainly wouldn't hurt her. I mean, I guess I got carried away.
Oh, because of the stroke?
What stroke?
Well, they said that you had a stroke and that was...
No. Anyway, back to the money. My daughter taking over the day-to-day running of the business is okay with me as long as it was acknowledged it's still really mine. See, the customers come there because of me, you know, so if I can't take a little money out of the till...
No, don't even mention the money. You threatened to kill your wife with a corkscrew.
Relax, it's just the way we talk. I say I'm going to drown her in the bathtub. She says she's going to kill me in my sleep or put arsenic in my tea.
Look. We can't tell the judge that it was meaningless because you and your wife routinely talk that way.
Well, that's true. She just phoned the police to punish me.
For eating bacon?
What?
Well, she said you were upset with her for criticizing your eating habits.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, she treats me like a slow-witted child. I hear her on the phone complaining to her friends how I'm so weak and fragile. You know, it's just an excuse to control me. I think she's slowly trying to erode my will to live. Is she going to be in the court? Because I can't wait to give her a piece of my mind.
No. You're not going to plea court to fight with your wife. You're going there to accept responsibility for what you did and promise to obey the conditions they impose.
What conditions?
Maybe some counseling, and you might have to live separately for a while, depending on how the judge says.
Live separately? Sign me up. What do I have to say to make it happen? Tell the judge I really meant to kill her.
This isn't a joke. If you're not careful, you're going to wind up in jail.
Well, keep that woman out of the courtroom, because if she starts yelling at me like I'm a moronic invalid, I'm not going to be responsible for what happens. It's something else.
What?
I want the charges related to taking money from the till dropped.
No, but this... Never mind.
It's the only good choice. What? If you want to do that, take on the next one.
Did you find it?
No.
Then what are you doing back here?
Sit down, ma'am.
I know. You're in the middle of something? Big deal.
You're Client looks pretty worked up, Mr. Ray. Are we wasting our time here?
Your Honor?
Well, when the clerk read the indictment and asked her how she pleaded, that little word guilty wasn't spoken with much conviction. Does she know the difference between a guilty plea and an overwrought explanation, which is actually a defense and requires me to pass it over for a trial?
Well,
Why would you know that? You're just her lawyer. Go ahead, Mr. Gallagher.
Your Honor, the accused was observed by police entering a donut shop on DuPont Street where a known drug runner passed her a small brown paper bag. When she left the store, the police stopped her and inside the bag found a cream-filled donut and 3.75 grams of powder cocaine worth approximately $500. She was arrested and charged with possession for the purpose of trafficking and failure to comply with the conditions of her probation.
Why do you think the police mentioned the cream-filled donut in their report?
Accuracy.
Not whimsy? I keep waiting for a little perspective on all these drug arrests, but it never comes.
Anyway, she's demonstrated a flagrant disregard for court orders on numerous previous charges, and now she's escalated to dealing. So the Crown is asking for a sentence of 8 months. Perhaps that'll serve as an adequate deterrent.
Yeah, right. You still happy with that guilty plea there?
I think so.
Uh-oh, I don't like the sound of that. Go ahead, let's hear it anyway, Mr. Ray.
Your Honor, my client has worked very hard to get her addiction under control.
She's flunked drug diversion twice, Your Honor. In fact, the last time she left voluntarily after just 4 weeks.
Due in part to the fact that she thought she could do better on her own. My client has a job, she has her own apartment, and she has turned a $500 a day habit into $50 a day.
So what?
No, I think that's quite an accomplishment. How'd you do that, ma'am?
I only buy drugs once a week. I split it up into 3 hits a day. That way I don't freak out when one hit's wearing off because I know where my next one's coming from and I can stretch it out a little longer each time. Sometimes you do a lot more if you don't know when you're going to score again. And I stopped drinking. I did a lot more when I was drunk.
And you're not the least bit impressed with any of that, Mr. Gallagher?
It's not the issue.
Well, it may not be the issue, but it was a hard thing to do.
Does the federal Crown actually believe it doesn't matter that she went from a $500 a day habit to a fraction of that, and in doing so, stopped having to work as a prostitute 7 days a week? This woman's life has been one struggle after another. But, and here's the issue, she's doing better.
Or so she says, but she's not offering up any concrete evidence to reassure the court that anything's changed. She's still a drug addict who refuses treatment. She refuses to comply with the conditions of her probation.
So that's it then. She doesn't even deserve the benefit of the doubt. So before the roof fell in on this woman, she had a life. She had a home that she owned and a family.
Everybody I ever loved has walked out on me. They all thought I would die in the gutter, but I am off the street. I have my own place again, and I am getting clean. I just need a little bit more time. Please listen to me. Those were my drugs. I am not a dealer.
Well, just about everything she said has been a defense of the dealing charge. I don't know what to do. I should strike her plea, but then she'll just be back in here in a couple of days lying to another judge because she wants to get this thing over with. You're only here today because you don't want to be sitting around in jail for a few months waiting for another trial, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Ray, you knew that if she told her story, I wouldn't be able to accept her plea. What did you want to happen here?
I just wanted to air the real issues, Your Honor.
Great. Mr. Gallagher, if you drop the charge down to simple possession, I can take her plea here.
Well, with all due respect, Your Honor, I believe none of what this woman said. I think it's a con. I mean, her record clearly shows contempt for the judicial process.
Yeah, she's missed a few court dates. But anyway you cut it, she's not a major drug dealer. Just the possibility that she's getting her life together makes me want to help her out a little bit. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to accept her plea on possession for the purpose, but I'm going to sentence her as if she pled to simple possession. How long has she been in, Mr. Ray?
3 weeks, Your Honor.
All right, time served plus the day.
Your Honor.
It's a done deal, Mr. Gallagher. If you're unhappy about it, get yourself an appeal. I need a break.
All rise.
I believe Ms. Dow has an out-of-custody matter she'd like dealt with, Your Honor.
Okay. Come on, why so shy, Miss Dow? Was I particularly hard on you the last time you were in here?
You made me cry, Your Honor.
Is that a bad thing?
Yeah, well,
What's your client's name?
Scott Dawson, Your Honor, line 32. Charges theft under. Mr. Dawson ran out a $200 tab at the Hooters restaurant on Adelaide Street.
Hooters, it's a charming place. I dine there myself whenever the lineup's just too long with testicles.
My client wants to say something, Your Honor. I told him to wait, but...
Yeah, most of your clients have a hard time heeding your advice, don't they, Miss Dow? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, look, I did it. I took off, but my friend set me up. It wasn't my fault, man.
Oh, well, then you can just go on home.
What?
He's kidding.
She's right, man. And by the way, if you call me that again, you're going to jail.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. But what happened was my friend says they were just going to the washroom, and then the next thing I know, they're heading out the front door. So I checked my pocket, because normally they take my wallet when they pull this one.
This one?
Ditching me in a restaurant. You see, my friends do this kind of stuff to me all the time. Like, once they paid a male hooker to come over to my place when my girlfriend was over and accused me of giving him gonorrhea. And another time they published my obituary in the newspaper. And they've hid my car in me at least 5 times. So basically,
you need to get new friends, kid. Try to pick a few that aren't malicious nitwits. Okay, I'll tell you what. You a fast runner?
Well, no. Not really, sir.
Well, I bet Miss Dow there can run like the wind. She can be your inspiration.
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
You get him down to that restaurant and back in 45 minutes with a receipt stating that he paid the bill, and I'll give him an absolute discharge.
Is that good?
Well, it's better than a night in the dawn. Go ahead, Mr. Dawson. Let's go. The clock is ticking.
Is he still kidding?
No.
She's right again, sir. Get going, Mr. Dawson.
Yes, Your Honor. Come on, let's go.
I think they're going to make it.
Me too.
What about you, Miss Rogan?
I don't really care one way or the other.
Oh, you're a tough cookie, Miss Rogan. You look pleasant enough, but I think you might just be the most formidable person in this building.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Did you call my matter while I was gone? I just stepped out to go to the bathroom, so if you called my matter, you're gonna have to call it again.
Miss Robinson?
She's not on anyone's list, Your Honor. I have checked K court, bail court, set date court. No one can find her information.
I have been waiting here for hours. I have a right to a speedy disposition. Also, I'm still waiting for the Crown's disclosure.
I don't know what disclosure she's talking about because we don't know who she is or what she's charged with.
Marlene Epps, EPPS.
Yes, I know what your name is, but
Do you want me to itemize the charter violations at play here? Section 11B, right to be tried within a reasonable time. Section 9, right not to be arbitrarily detained.
How about Section 12, cruel and unusual punishment? Because that's what you're subjecting me to. So please, sit down and be quiet until we get to
which
you.
we might never actually do because you're not on the list.
Who's next?
Come on! Come on, we can do this!
I'm trying.
Try harder!
Yo, I thought you said he's gonna give us a break, man.
He did. 5 months. Come on, what's
Yo,
that?
5 months. If I'm in there for 5 months, we're gonna take her Vandy Jackie after what I did.
Maybe I could look in on her.
Yo, you do that?
Of course I do that. What do you think? I'm a heartless bastard?
Yeah.
Look, I'll go in, pretend I'm an inspector or something, get the staff real nervous, and your Aunt Jackie will get A1 treatment until she goes to a better place.
Yo, I can't afford a better place right now, man. All right, well, when you go, bring her some candy. She likes licorice, all right? Bring her peppermint patties, too. She likes peppermint patties, man.
Sweet guy.
I only went to the hospital to see the baby. I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Except when the mother has a no-contact order against you.
But I wasn't intending to go anywhere near her. I thought they'd have him in one of those big rooms with the glass windows. They told me he was in with her,
So that's what you did. You just marched in, breached a court order in the process.
But I was nice and calm. I said to Becky, I just wanted to see my son. I'm not here to bother you.
And she didn't believe you because...
She could smell the booze on me.
You went there drunk?
No, I was nervous. I'd had a couple of beers.
Fair enough. Most people like to get liquored up before they go to see their newborn child for the first time.
I have a problem, all right? Still no reason for her to freak out and call the cops.
Except that you threatened to kill her, you mean?
No, see, I said I'd kill her if she called them.
Okay, I'll be sure to make the judge aware of that distinction. You know, if you hadn't smacked her around the last time that
You know, she's no saint, you know? She used to drink as much as I did. She hit me, too, before.
Again, that doesn't help here because now she's the mother of a newborn and you're just a guy who went in there after having had a few and then told her that you were going to throw her out the goddamn window.
I know I'm a screw-up, right? And I think what she did with her life is great, you know? I mean, getting clean. You know, as soon as she found out she was pregnant, she quit, cold turkey.
But you weren't up for that, eh? Because it would have been a lot better if you could have done it at the same time.
The baby was inside her, right? I mean, for me, it hasn't been real until now. I mean, but here's the thing, I mean, I think if I was around the baby, I'd try to do better.
Okay, well, I don't know how that's going to...
It's not going to happen now, is it?
Not for a long time.
Yeah.
Neighborhood pharmacies are disappearing, and people are going to have to do without the personal service we provided. It's just going to be, here's your prescription, don't mix it with alcohol, and will that be Visa or MasterCard?
Does anyone know what he's talking about?
Well, I think he thinks that
A man spends his whole life establishing a business, and then suddenly he's just expected to step aside and hang around performing errands to make himself feel useful. I should be able to help myself to $50 from time to time without being thrown in jail for it.
$50? He thinks he's here for stealing $50 from the family business.
But he's not. He's here for uttering a death threat.
He's here because he won't look after himself.
His wife.
He's here because he'd rather eat bacon than listen to reason.
Did she say bacon?
Sit down.
You are making a fool of us.
He had a stroke, Your Honor.
No, I didn't.
He had a stroke because he eats bacon and other fatty foods, so I have to be on him quite a bit.
24/7, she means. Guess what, sweet cakes? Last night in jail, I bummed 5 contraband cigarettes, and I smoked them all, and they were fantastic.
You stubborn, reckless fool.
Calm down, for God's sake.
Oh, don't bother, honey. She won't be happy until my balls are floating in a jar on her dressing table.
That was a ridiculous and gross thing to say.
Your Honor, I know this isn't a terrific excuse, but apparently what we're seeing here is typical of the Cowles marriage.
So what?
I'm just saying that there's no history of actual violence between them, so a return to the family home with some counseling shouldn't be out of the question.
Well, do you mind if we explore the issue a little further first?
Oh, no, of course not.
At the very least, there should be some kind of cooling off period.
Yeah, but given Mr. Cowles' health problems, I don't think
Which are actually non-existent.
Don't believe him. He could drop dead like a stone any minute.
You wish. And if I do croak, it'll be because you had me arrested for taking my own money.
Sir, try to pay attention. You were arrested for threatening to kill her. And you pled guilty to that charge right before you took off on a monologue about neighborhood pharmacies. So now what we have to do
that
is...
corkscrew thing was nothing. Tell them it was nothing.
I overreacted.
It was nothing.
Yeah, nothing. You know what would be nice, though? If just one time somebody in that box would take responsibility for something. If just once somebody would step up and say, you know, Your Honor, you're right, I'm guilty, I'm sorry. I acted like a fool, I'm guilty, I'm sorry about that too, and most of all, I'm sorry for wasting your valuable time. Now, bearing in mind what I just said, sir, do you have anything you'd like to say before I sentence you?
Yeah. What the hell are you talking about? I told you it was nothing. And if you're on about the $50, I already explained that, too.
Well, I gave him a chance, didn't I?
You certainly did.
10 days less time served.
I'm going to jail?
Yes, sorry.
What for? I'm going to eat like a pig and smoke like a chimney, and there's not a damn thing she can do about it.
Leo, don't be spiteful. Leo, if he dies in there, it's your fault.
Even if he dies happy? Who's next?
Got it. Sorry,
Oh, 39 minutes.
38.
Whatever. Okay, here's some advice, sir. Until you find a whole new crowd to hang out with, what do you say you start standing up for yourself? Next time those guys pull one of those bone-headed tricks on you, find a way to retaliate.
Okay.
But legally. He meant retaliate legally.
Yeah, sure. Left that out, huh?
I don't know why I'm here. I guess I could say something on his behalf if I'm asked, but look, I wanted him to see the baby. I just told him that he had to be sober, but no, he shows up wasted.
He says he didn't mean to upset
He never means to do anything. He just can't help himself. He used to be a stoner, right? The guy smoked more weed than anyone on the planet, but I guess he thought he was moving in the right direction by just concentrating on the booze. I don't know. All it really did was get me to start drinking, too. I thought, what the hell? Might as well go with the flow, you know?
But then you got pregnant.
Yeah, and my doctor showed me pictures of kids with fetal alcohol syndrome.
Pretty depressing.
Man, sure was enough for me. I mean, to be responsible for doing that to another human being and your own kid, too.
And the thing is, Eddie thinks...
Yeah, I know. Eddie thinks that being around the baby could get him to stop drinking, too, but I don't believe it.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's not that long. He'll be okay. He could gain a pound a day. That's 10 pounds. That's 10 extra pounds for a man in his condition is more than enough to kill him. And you heard him. He started smoking again. Now, can you go and visit him in jail and tell him to stop?
Mother,
then tell him to do it for my sake.
No, yeah, like that'll work.
Deep down, he loves me. He's just stubborn and a little confused.
Oh, my God.
Now, what's this about the $50?
He's been stealing money for the till for quite some time now.
What?
Not much. I had to ask him to stop because it was throwing off the books.
Then it's all your fault, isn't it?
Mother,
I was just saying.
you're always just
Now, let's
saying.
go and have a veggie burger or something.
Oh, my God.
Her son had been accepted at a school for children with disabilities, but she chose not to send him there.
Yeah, one of the many mistakes I've made as a parent. Throw me in jail, pull out my fingernails.
Okay, ma'am, just...
I wanted him at our neighborhood school so he could make friends who lived nearby. Of course, that didn't happen.
Why not?
Well, you'd have to ask the parents of all the kids who never invited him to their birthday parties. Look, the local school said that it could accommodate him, and I thought it would be best to send him nearby rather than bus him to North York.
And she can't be faulted for that, Your Honor.
Well, that remains to be seen, doesn't it? Just tell me what in your mind they did wrong.
When they assessed him, they said that his cognitive abilities were intact, that he just needed a little more time to learn things. And what they did wrong was not provide an assistant who could help him while the teacher moved on to the other 27 kids in that class.
All right, and so she had to watch as her son falls farther and farther behind, not learning, not, making friends or being invited to certain movies.
They promised us one, right? I mean, a teacher's assistant, but then there was an election and a new government and funding cuts, and we finally got one 6 months ago.
And that's only because the child that this particular assistant assistant had been working with had died.
And there's a huge waiting list for them. I mean, I think the only reason Sam even got her was because I've become such a huge pain in the ass for them at that school.
And that's why she believes that she has an obligation to continue to push the people at and perhaps, yes, even harass the people at this school, because it's the only thing that seems to get results for her child.
Your Honor, while I concede all these issues are mitigating, the fact is her son will struggle with this condition all his life. Ms. Brenner can't go around assaulting people every time her will is thwarted.
No, well, she didn't attack him because her will was thwarted. She momentarily lost control when confronted by someone who had repeatedly refused to even acknowledge her concerns.
We're doing our best. That is all he ever says. We're doing our best, and you need to understand that. Well, he needed to understand that his best was not good enough.
For you mean? There are plenty of parents in the public school system who have children with disabilities, but they're not punching out their vice principals.
Well, you know, that may change once they realize that their kids are in grade 3 and they still can't read or hold a pencil properly, or are left out of class field trips, or are never invited to birthday parties because to everyone else around them, they're invisible.
Just like me.
There's a familiar voice.
Ma'am, yourself. I've reached my limit. If I'm not dealt with immediately, I intend to sue the government.
Yeah, whatever, sure. What? Still no paperwork on her?
No, Your Honor.
And you have no explanation for this?
Just the usual. It got lost somewhere.
Are we the only institution in the Western world that still relies on a system of shuffling papers from room to room? Why isn't all this stuff on computers? I could buy a used book from a guy in Kazakhstan faster than I can get my hands on this woman's paperwork.
Okay, that's good. You sound frustrated. Maybe now you know how it feels.
How what feels?
Yesterday, I waited all day in this courtroom to appeal a parking ticket. And when the judge finally got to me, she said...
You can't appeal a parking ticket in here, ma'am. This is a criminal court.
Exactly. But the point is, I waited all day to find that out. Everyone was too busy shuffling paper to pay any attention to me.
Ma'am.
I wasted hours of my life, and now I'm returning the favor.
Ma'am.
So that business about the list was just...
I made it up.
Because you wanted to get even?
You got it. And now that I have your attention, I'm going to talk about that parking ticket.
Oh, no, you're not.
I was just sitting in my car, waiting for my husband. I closed my eyes for 1 second, and when I opened them, that little jerk parking cop was writing me a ticket. I asked him, aren't you supposed to warn me or something? But he just smiled and kept going. So I think that I shouldn't have to...
Okay, I want this woman charged with a crime.
What crime?
Something that gives me wide discretion in sentencing.
Obstruction of justice, contempt of court, public mischief.
We have anything about wasting a judge's time? Find something close and take her into custody.
You're not serious.
I sure am. Unless you get out of my sight in 5 seconds, I'm going to have an officer of the court cuff you. You have 5 seconds to get out of here. 5, 4, 3.
Okay! But I'm not paying that ticket.
Who cares? Okay, back to you, ma'am. But first, Mr. Sachs, this doppelganger thing here is beginning to freak me out.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, the thing is, if you don't comply with the conditions of the suspended sentence, you will go to jail. Top of the list being you're not allowed to go anywhere near that school.
That means you'll have to take over. I don't want them thinking we're not on their case.
Yeah, but we don't want Mark to do anything that will get him in
Our
the same
son needs
kind
to
of...
be protected. Maybe we should just take him out of that school. What? Oh, no.
Well, you know, he has a point. You know, perhaps there's another school that could help him even more.
Yeah, but it's private and it costs $17,000 a year. Plus, I want him near me. Besides, he should be able to get the same education as all the other kids in that school are getting. He's different. Hey, they bend over backwards for immigrant kids who don't speak English, and all we get is that one day in their learning center. It's not enough. We have to make them give him more. I mean, you have to make them give him more. Because it's your turn, Mark.
She doesn't seem that pleased.
Yes, well, you know, they do still have a huge problem, right?
She got off easy.
How do you do that, though? I mean, how do you not let all that personal stuff get in the way? How come you don't feel a need to factor in everything that she has been through?
That's not my job. My job is to protect the public and serve the law.
Okay, but how do you stay focused on all of that when there are just so many other, you know, human variables?
Well,
I mean, Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, of course, but I guess what I'm really asking you is how did you get to be so efficient and clear? And how come people listen to you when you speak? And how come no one gets confused when you say something?
Because I think about what I'm going to say before I say it.
Okay, but suppose you don't know what you're going to say then?
Then I don't say anything.
But you don't have a little voice in your head, though, that just is continually telling you to say things that you don't always really fully understand?
You have a little voice in your head?
Well, you know, just a you know, not a voice, it's, you know, my voice, but sometimes it will contradict itself, you know? It'll say this thing, no, say that thing. And so I think that's why, or no, hey, say both those things. But I think that's why sometimes it can appear that I can be maybe a little bit,
troubled?
Or not clear or sure.
Hello, I'm from the Department of Health and Welfare. No. Keep going.
Where are we going?
Keep going. Okay, stop.
Here.
Stop right here, right here.
What are the glasses for? What's a clipboard for? What are you doing?
Don't worry about it. Just wait here.
For how long?
Until I come back.
You just think of me as a chauffeur, don't you?
No, I think of you as a valued and trusted friend. Now wait here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you Jackie? These are from Richie. Don't worry. Things are going to get better around you very soon. Hello, Department of Health and Welfare. How are you today, sir?
He showed up drunk to the hospital and threatened to kill her while she was nursing her baby.
We've heard all this before.
And now you want her to ask the court to go easy on him?
She's here on her own initiative. We should at least give her the chance to...
Another battered woman being forced to forgive and forget.
Are you even listening to me? She's not being forced. She's here because she has...
He needs to learn a lesson. He needs to be put in jail long enough to know that he never wants to go back there.
What about you, ma'am? What do you need?
I want him to get better. I want him to go to counseling, and I want him to take it seriously.
Had counseling for his addiction before, though.
Yeah, we've both been sent for it before. We'd get into a brawl outside the bar, and the judge would try to make sure that we got help. It didn't work for me either until I decided that I wanted it to work.
Well, I can make it a condition of any probation that he go to the meetings, but I can't hold his hand and take him there. Sir, are you anywhere near getting able to pull your life together?
I hope so.
I hope so is something a not very well-formed adolescent might say. You have a wife and a new baby. Maybe it's time for you to stand up and be a man.
Okay, what are we talking about here?
I need you to give it up.
Like, get sober all at once? Because I don't think I can do that.
Okay, Your Honor, this is too painful to listen to. This man has no intention of changing, and our primary responsibility is to ensure the safety of this woman.
Yeah, but I'm not sure throwing him in jail for a while is the way to do that.
Yeah, there's no lesson in there. He'll just get addicted to something else.
Say something to make me think you have at least some possibility of success in any program I can get you into.
Well, I don't...
Your Honor, my client is just very nervous right now, and I'm not sure that he's responding as well as he could because of the pressure that he feels about all...
How he responds to pressure is a central issue here. He's got a new baby, counsel. That's pressure.
It's not complicated, us or the booze.
I want to. I really do. I just need some time.
I was pregnant for 9 months. You knew what you had to do.
I need to have a plan. When I go into counseling, it's their plan, and I can't fit myself into... So, what if I cut back?
Okay, Your Honor.
Okay, come on, he's just trying to tell us how difficult it is.
No, I think she's right. It's too hard to listen to. You're gonna have to spend some time in jail, kid. Maybe it'll help you grow up a little.
It's not gonna work.
When he gets out of jail, he's going to be on probation for a year. He has to stay sober and attend meetings or they throw him right back in. The judge might be right. Maybe it'll straighten him up. You can wait and see how he does and then decide.
No, I think I have to make my decision now and then see if he can surprise me.
Dear Mr. Fraser, this letter is to confirm that your application to the Great Canadian Clown School has been received and duly processed. Please be advised that the summer term is almost full, so your deposit of $1,000 should be submitted immediately to hold your place. Looking forward to honking your nose. Sincerely, Donna Evans, Admissions. I don't like questions to start with, Could you tell the court, or isn't it true? Makes me feel like I'm trapped in an episode of Matlock. If I start to think you're having a good time, I'm going to cut it off.
Amen!
Your thoughts aren't all that important to us here. No offense. They tell you I was crazy. You keep this pressure on me, you're going to give me another stroke. Got this little bomb in my head ticking away, and if I let you drone on, I could just die up here.
Guilty because of sheer stupidity. Guilty, 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 guilty.
What? I'm not allowed to enjoy myself?